There's an incredible offer right now on the mentorship until the end of August. So if that's something you want to take advantage of, you want me to coach you more directly in a group setting, then don't miss out, because it's a pretty fantastic discount that is happening until the end of the month in August. Welcome back to another episode of the Diamond Life Mentor Podcast with your host, Balazs W Kardos. This is a new episode. I'm recording this live, and I haven't done that in a little while. It's been quite a few months, actually, probably 5-6 months, since I've intentionally recorded a podcast, and we have continued to release episodes every single week. And thank you for those of you who are tuning in and getting value from the Diamond Life Uncut little clips from my official Diamond Life Coaching Mentorship Program. Just gave you a little taste of what you could potentially experience if I was coaching you directly inside of the mentorship. So for those of you that have been getting value from that, if you want to take it to another level, we do have a promotion that is going on with a pretty significant discount that is only available until the end of August. So if that's something you've been considering doing, is jumping into the mentorship program, I highly suggest that you take advantage of this before the end of August. And we are not sure exactly how long the mentorship program will continue in the current capacity. There may be some changes in the future, and it's going to be amazing regardless. But if you've been on the fence or you've been thinking about it, then I would recommend booking in a call and locking in your spot before the end of August. Now, with that being said, there's been so much happening in my world, and today is a very special day for my family. And I realized as we were packing up all of our belongings from our first special dream home that we purchased 8 years ago, that I almost didn't do a final episode in my home. And I'm making it happen. So this is extremely off the cuff. I have so much that needs to happen today, and this is a little bit unpractical and illogical in terms of timing, but we're making it happen anyways, and I hope you get some sort of value from this life update and my Diamond Life mindset and philosophy around certain things that have happened for me and how I look at it as a positive. And maybe you can reconsider how you look at things too, if you want, and possibly adopt some of what I'm going to share today. Now, I have no agenda, I have no plan, but I'm going to do my best to fill you in on a little bit of what's been happening in my world, because I really, really miss connecting with you and doing podcast episodes each week. And it is a goal of mine to get back into this as a priority starting in the next couple of weeks. So obviously, as you know, I had a son, and now I have a beautiful daughter and a son. And when my son was born, he's almost a year now, he's 10 months in a few days, it really shifted a lot for our family dynamic. For those of you that know, going from one kid to two feels like going from one kid to 12. It is a significantly different experience of juggling things, and there's a lot going on. With that being said, of course, we're in a very fortunate situation with time, financial, and location freedom. And a lot of people just assume, oh, you have it so easy and it's a walk in the park and so on. And in some ways, yes, it is much, much, much easier in a lot of ways. But internally, as an evolutionary thing, to be a father of two or a mother of two, you still go through the ringer, right? You still have to experience an initiation and a conscious evolutionary choice of who you want to become in this new role that you now have, especially if you have a daughter and a son, because now you have to be a certain role model and instill certain aspects into your children that are similar but a little different for a girl versus a boy. And a lot of things came up for me around my relationship with my dad, and things that were sort of suppressed and not dealt with, that I now started to realize that I'm stepping into this opportunity to heal certain parts of myself and to not necessarily pass them on to my relationship with my son. And so there's been a lot of deep introspection things going on. Of course, supporting my wife as much as I can as she transitions into this, overwhelming amount of presence and love and nurturing and being there for an infant and a 4-year-old at the same time, being in a capacity of doing it every single day without daycare, without childcare, homeschooling, and all the rest of it, is pretty much super intense and full on. Not to mention, we had some help around our home. We had somebody who was a house manager coming in, doing the laundry, washing the dishes, doing a lot of that stuff. When my son was 3 months old, she started, and she was here for 3 months, and it was really, really amazing to have that kind of help. But interestingly, there was a lot of strange things that also happened. This person was similar age to my mom. She was also from Europe, and she had a great work ethic and stuff like this, but she overstepped in some boundaries around speaking into things in our lives when she shouldn't have. We didn't want that. She started acting like kind of grandmother/mother, giving us her opinion and her feedback on things we never asked for. And so it started to be an interesting dynamic, like we have a third grandma that we don't want in our home, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And it really started to make our home uncomfortable. And certain things started to happen with Valentina's approach to her, kind of like she assumed that she was there for her, and in fact she was not there for that. She was there for other things. So like boundaries weren't clear, roles weren't like misaligned. So actually after 3 months we had to let her go. So that was about 4 months ago now. And when that happened, of course, we got used to the amount of help that we were getting. So we jumped right back into like full-time everything now, right? From cooking, cleaning, meal prepping, all the rest of it, which is fine, but it's just very time consuming. And we weren't able to find another replacement, and it's just been really, really hard. So that's a little update there. So full-time parenting, full-time presence, full-time young one, teething, growing, so on and so on. It's just been pretty hectic. And we've also been doing our best to enjoy it, because this is a very special time in our lives, and it's a season that goes by very quickly. And as you know, kids grow up extremely fast, and you end up wondering when and how it all happens so quick. So we've been in this very standard feeling of enjoying the moments, while also the days are super long and the months seem to be flying by. And I can't believe he's almost 1 in October, which is really next level. So that's kind of one part of what's been going on behind the scenes. And I've been working haven't been working. I've been doing a few things with my team, a few hours a week to make sure that they're on track with certain projects that we've been developing in the background with GPM Method and GPM Base and some other exciting projects. But it's been minimal on my part. And it's what I've always wanted, right? It's that interesting balance between I love what I do, I love my business, I love coaching, mentoring, all of it. I really love it. And it's a big part of my mission, and it's a big part of my purpose. But at the same time, I never wanted to feel obligated that I had to do it, right? And so in a season where my family was my priority, my family's always my priority, but even more than usual, I had this interesting kind of conflict inside of myself where I was beating myself up and feeling like I should be doing more and I should be working, and there's always the next thing and the next thing and leveling up and whatever. And also at the same time, trying my best to be wise and recognize that don't screw this up, man, because 5 years from now or 10 years from now, sure, you may have grown your business, or you may have achieved another impressive accomplishment or something like this, but you most likely will regret not being around and fulfilling that intention and that vision and that dream that I had all those years back when I first started my business, to get myself in a position to have the choice, to have the options, to take some time away. So even though this is what I wanted, actually embracing it, stepping into it, and owning it has been more difficult than maybe a lot of people imagine. Like the idea of being retired or not working is a weird feeling, even though every month my income is going up. My business crossed $1 billion in global sales in the middle of July, officially. And so everything's pretty much hands off. Like, I'm not really needed. But when your identity has been connected to a leader and growing this business and doing calls and trainings and so forth, it's pretty hard to adjust, right? And so I've been kind of doing my best to adapt and honor this time. And so that's been happening. The other thing that's been happening is April 12th, right around the time that, right before, so we let our house manager go end of first week of May, so like a few weeks after this happened. My wife texts me and says, I found our new home, and sends me a real estate listing of a absolutely beautiful, gorgeous estate on 1.5 acres, brand new build, state-of-the-art, everything, luxury, all of the stuff. And my initial reaction, actually, I scrolled back because I forgot what I said. I scrolled back and I just replied to her, "You're funny." And it was just a strange reaction now that I look back, because I'm like, well, why did I say that? And part of me initially said that because of the sticker price of owning this place. It was a big number. I was like, oh my gosh, you're funny. Like, I don't think we can do that. You know what I mean? It's like I don't think that's possible. So that was part of it. The other part of it was when we moved into our home today, or where I am for the past 8 years, it was such a stretch. It was such a far-fetched possibility, like really out of reach. And by most people's standards or expectations, insane. Like, quite literally, you're off your medication. Who do you think you are? It's never going to work out. It's too risky. You're going to lose it, and all that. And so I remember this was actually March of 2016, a few months after I turned 30, that we were ready to basically think about having children. And, I was after we were engaged and we were planning our wedding and a bunch of stuff like this. Like, well, what's next? What do we want? Do we want to rent when we have kids? What would that be like? How much space do we want to have? Do we want to have a yard or no yard? Like, all these questions that you don't really think about until kids are very close to being added to the family dynamic, where you're like, oh, we have to make a lot of choices and we have to figure out what's best for us and how we want to live our lives and what that gets to look like. And so there's a lot of like deep introspective stuff that when you're young and you're free and you have very little responsibility, very little liability, these things don't really cross your mind. And I know that we have a wide range of people in GPM, or people who listen to my podcast, at all different ages and all different situations, whether you're single or whether you're, engaged or have a partner or thinking about having children, or maybe you already have children, or maybe you're retired and your kids are growing up, or you never had kids and you never want kids, and everything in between. So if you're in any of those different situations, you'll understand hopefully what I'm saying. But you have to decide like what kind of lifestyle you want to have. And I know some people choose to have a very nomadic, free, don't own anything, stay at Airbnbs, travel the world, live out of a camper, whatever. And there's no right or wrong way. It's just choosing what you prefer based on your dynamic in your family, based on the personality that you have and how your relationship is, and how you've always seen raising a family, what that gets to be like. And our personal choice is we're homebodies. We actually like to spend time at home. And that's a really big part of the reason why we wanted a home-based business, right? If you want to have freedom, location freedom, but you also want to have a home base, then your choices are going to be different than someone who wants to have freedom of location and wants to live out of a suitcase and just literally be constantly traveling, which is, I think, amazing to have that option especially when you're younger and want to kind of see the world and so forth and really backpack or experience certain things, and then possibly, buy something or settle down or choose a location as a home base or whatever. Or some people never do, but it just depends. So anyway, long story short, we were thinking about these things. We ended up looking around and seeing kind of what the market looked like, what would even require, right? Like I had no idea how much it would cost, down payments, what kind of financials you have to provide, how mortgages work, how they don't, like nothing. I had no context. And so at the time I was already in Enagic and I was a -2, and we were just beginning to transition things to online with our very first online system. And so it was this weird transition period where right when we were like thinking about starting a family, we were also making this big transition where everything was beginning to change on how we built the business online. And when that happens, you have to have a certain mindset. And where a lot of people, I think, limit themselves from possibilities and growth and quantum leaping is that their mindset is so stuck on linear thinking. And they make all of their decisions and all of their choices based on their current reality. So their current job, their current income, and their current affordability for something like a mortgage or whatever. And they have a hard time predicting or forecasting where they're going to be in 12 months, where they're going to be in 18 months, where they're going to be in 2 years. And of course, you can never know for sure, but there are certain things that you can pay attention to and certain metrics and certain data that you can start to go, all right, well, if I do this, this, and this, and my team continues to grow in this way, that means that we should be here in 12 months. Our income should be around here in 12 months in a conservative, if all things go as they are going already, just in a further timeline. So we were talking about all these things. We went to go check out some condos in the Vancouver, BC, Canada area. And man, did we have a reality check around what the prices were and what you get for the money. And if you wanted something new and luxury and nice and certain standards that we have always both had, even when we had very little money, we just have expensive taste. We like nice things and we appreciate quality. We see the value in certain ways of experiencing life, right? And so we're like, man, we need to make more money because our taste is expensive and we don't want to sacrifice what we truly want. And so there's got to be a way to elevate and grow. So anyways, we started to see what was around, and we very quickly realized that a nice condo with a decent amount of space, similar to what we were renting, is going to be 800 to 1 million, in that range. And I was like, dang. And because I'm self-employed, the way things work is that your down payment has to be a minimum of 30% when you're self-employed. If you have a salary or something like this, a lot of the times they accept 5% down. So it's crazy. Like, you're a business owner, you take all this risk, you have no security of income or paychecks coming in. And on top of that, they want you to put down 30%. So it makes it much harder. So after we were pretty disappointed around not only the prices, but what you get for the money, we were driving back from North Vancouver after we checked out this one sub penthouse, and we're like, you know what? Let's just dream for a moment. What do we really want? What if we were delusional, right? Like, really thought big, and we're first-time homeowners. Like, this is our first time buying, right? So typically people are getting a condo or typically maybe a townhouse. And then you get in the market and you wait a few years, you get a little bit of equity, and then you can kind of sort of roll that into a nicer place or maybe a detached home or maybe with a bigger yard. Or often you're in a higher priced market, you get some equity, you take that and you go to a further away from the city market and you get more bang for your buck. So that's very, very common, right? So we're sitting there in the car, we're dreaming big, we're talking about, having a detached home, having a yard, having a beautiful view. We want to have enough space for like a studio home office because I work online. I want to be able to have, literally where I'm sitting right now was an idea at one point. It was in my imagination to have something like this. I wanted to have a home gym. I don't like commercial gyms. I don't like wasting time driving to the gym. I don't like the small talk with random people. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Hey, fist bump. Fuck all that. It's not my thing. I just want to train. And I want to have no commute. I want to walk into my gym, train, walk out, have a shower, boom, ready to go. And so I wanted a home gym. I wanted a theater room. I like to enjoy sports with like surround sound and a big TV and things like this. So there's all these dreams that we had, right? We wanted to have enough bedrooms to grow into when we had children. We wanted to have a guest bedroom. So as we're dreaming and dreaming and dreaming, we're like realizing how ridiculous this was for where we were at that point in our lives. Next thing you know, the power of ads, the power of targeting, the power of our cell phones always spying and listening to us, which pisses off a lot of people. But when you get an ad served to you that is actually what you wish for, dream for, it's exactly what you're looking for, why would you be mad about that? Right? It's more like, thank you. Thank you for showing me this. Thank you. This is exactly what I'm looking for. And that's ads done correct. So what happened was we had an ad pop up on Margaret's phone, and it was talking about a custom built estate home. And it was a little bit further out in the city, but it didn't matter because we were both free, retired, working from home, working online. We didn't have to go into the city in rush hour traffic there and back. So all of a sudden our imagination was like, well, what is the negative or the con about living a little bit further away, about another 20 to 30 minutes from where we were at the time? There wasn't any. We're like, oh, wow, well, we can get more bang for our buck out this way. So we ended up finding this custom built estate development where they had 4 different show homes to choose from, like floor plans to choose from, but you were able to come in and say, like, I want to move the walls, I want to customize this, I want to have different finishes, I want to get my lighting from a completely different store, bring it in myself. Like a lot of flexibility towards making it exactly how you wanted. And one of the 4 floor plans were like probably 85-90% what we wanted anyways in terms of layout and how the house flowed and so forth. But there were a few things where like, I wonder if we could this, I wonder if we could that. And the developer said yes to all of it. So here we are, -2, just turned 30 and found the perfect lot. And the lot was actually 21, which was the day that I asked Margaret to be my girlfriend in December back in high school. And it was the day that I asked her to be my wife in December many years later. So 21 was significant. It was a massive lot and had one of the best views out of all the options, and it was still available. So with the realtor, I say to the realtor, I say, listen, we want to get this. And she goes, well, it's $100,000 deposit. It's non-refundable. And you're going to have to come up with the 30% on the value of the home in 15 months. So the place was 1.6 million, and we had to come up with 30% of that in 15 months and put 100K down. And I actually was going through my office as we pack up to sell and move out literally tomorrow to our new home. And I found the amount of cost that it required to get this place. And we ended up including paying up our taxes and property taxes and closing and down payment. And so it ended up being $512,000. Now, that's a big chunk of money. We could have bought a place pretty much for that amount of money and paid it off. But instead, we were like, no, let's stretch. And the amount of trust and confidence and certainty and like betting on me to have the balls to be like, I can do this. I'm still proud of that me. I'm proud of 30-year-old Balazs, because looking back, I'm like, dude, that is a decision most people wouldn't make. They would say, nah, maybe not this time. Let's get a condo. Let's get a townhouse. Let's not stress ourselves out. Let's not risk it. Let's play it safe. Like that's what most people do in life. And I was like, nah, man, I want it. Do we need it? No. There's 2 of us and a dog in a 5,000 square foot house, 5 bedroom, 5 bathroom, gym, theater room, all that. Do we need it? Of course not. Is it way too big for 2 people and a dog? Yes, of course. But I saw the vision. I saw what was possible. I wanted to grow into it. I wanted to stretch myself. I wanted to see if I could pull it off. And man, was it intense. But you know what happened? I had to step into a 682-3 version of myself when I was dash 2. I had to think differently. I had to lead differently. I had to work differently. And so we put the 100K down on March 21st, 2016, and I hit 682-3 end of May. And that story that you've heard me share with Clint Morgan, where I hit him up and I was like, you're the final 6A and whatever. And I was like working all hours a day and we basically hit it in 6 weeks, was right after I put that 100K down to get this place in 15 months after that. So my level of dedication and going all in was on a whole different level. I was like, I'll wake up in the middle of the night. I'll do calls for you in Australia. I'll do whatever it takes because there was so much at stake and I wasn't going to fail, right? And it just brings me back, man. I was just 30. I'm almost 40 now in 4 months. So my entire 30s have been shaped completely differently. The reality, the environment, the experiences, the memories, the firsts as a family have been within the walls of this home. And it's just such a special time because I'm a very loyal person, right? I don't take advantage of people. I just appreciate loyal people back to me as well, and I'm super loyal to them. And that includes some of my belongings. That includes like my home. That includes my lots of different things. And I'm like, man, it's such a hard feeling to move on, right? To level up, to have a next experience, but it's also necessary in a lot of ways. And I'll get to that in a second. So anyway, we moved in here with nothing. Okay, we ended up spending our last few dollars to close on this place. We actually had to borrow a little bit of money from my mom and from Margaret's mom temporarily just to get us across the finish line because we didn't anticipate the closing costs. They never really told us that it would be tens of thousands of dollars as a surprise. So we're like, whoa, right? First-time home buyers, a little bit naive, had no idea how it all worked. So anyways, thanks to our moms, we were able to get it done. And we paid them back very quickly and everything's fine. But, super, super grateful for that support. And fast forward, we now had to furnish the place. Once again, you're like, okay, so what does a sofa cost? What does a side table cost? And we, like I said, we have an expensive taste. We like nice stuff. So thousands upon thousands of dollars of furnishing the house. And then we wanted to do landscaping. We wanted to finish the garage with like a showroom garage. We wanted to get automatic blinds in the bedrooms where they're on a timer and they close at sunset and they open at sunrise and all this kind of stuff. And that was like 50 grand. I was like, what? What do you mean blinds? Like, well, you have a 5,000 square foot house. Like this window, you have 50 windows in the house, but add it all up, 50 grand. You're like, damn. So there was a lot of surprises as a homeowner of what it actually costs. Now, here's the thing. There's a whole consensus around, is it smart to buy versus rent? And, it's not a good investment and blah, blah, blah. And I get it. I understand the argument and it makes a lot of sense if you have a certain set of values and you're banking on purchasing a home as your sole primary investment to like retire off of to grow the equity. No, it doesn't make sense. But in my personal case, like I said, we are home most of the time. So it's always been important to me. Where am I living? Am I in an inspiring place? Do we have enough space energetically where we don't feel like always in each other's space, like with a small condo or something like that? It never feels like you have space apart. You know what I mean? So these were some things really important to us. And we wanted to have a place to welcome our kids into, have their bedrooms basically waiting for them. We always thought we were going to have 2 kids. So we had 2 bedrooms waiting for them and a guest bedroom, our master bedroom, and then the 5th bedroom was my studio office that I'm sitting in right now. So all the rooms were accounted for, but we were just like future pacing. So yeah, so what was really exciting is by the time we moved in, I was already dash 3 for almost a year, and the mortgage payment was covered by the minimum dash 3 monthly bonus. So this entire time, we technically got a house stress-free financially because the mortgage payment was covered by the minimum that I've ever made. And actually I never even made it. Like it was around $5,300 a month for the mortgage or something like that. And my lowest ever Dash 3 was around 10 grand. And it's significantly grown from there. And I've gone to Dash 4, Dash 5, Dash 6 since we've lived here. We've welcomed my daughter here. We got married while we were living here. We had my son here. We experienced lockdowns and COVID and all the craziness that went around with it. And we weren't really even bothered. We were like in a compound with a home gym, a theater room, a pool table, foosball table, activities. We had the space to not feel trapped. And a lot of people that had a smaller place, they really did feel super trapped, like confined, like jail, And so a lot of things have happened here. I launched my podcast from here. We launched GPM Base from here. We launched GPM Method from here. I grew my mentorship program. I started my mentorship program 6-7 years ago from here, which has gone on to change hundreds of people's lives. We've traveled the world from here to over 30 countries, and this was always our home base. And it's funny because when you really optimize your environment at home and you get like all these little biohacking things with your blinds and your temperature of your room and your sheets and, so many things, and you travel, it's almost always not as good, right? Even at the highest, best hotels around the world that we've stayed at, there's always something that at home is just better. And I think it's harder to have those things if you're not investing into your home because you don't own it personally. So anyway, long story short, I thought we would raise our kids here. And so we invested into this place as if we were going to have it for much longer than 8 years. But then when Margaret sent me this in April, it was just the next level that sometimes I resist, because I've shared this on the podcast in the past. I truly believe in figuring out what your level 1 dream reality is. Okay, so that includes where you live, that includes the car you drive, that includes the lifestyle that you have, and then capping it there on purpose. So you continue to scale your business, scale your income, scale your investments, be smart with your money, but you're not driving like some shit bucket living in a basement suite with no windows, hating it, and punishing yourself and suffering because you're trying to bank all your money. I think that a lot of people have this approach, and it's a mistake because you're sacrificing the now. You're sacrificing your joy. You're sacrificing your peace. You're sacrificing so much, and tomorrow is never guaranteed or promised. So if you are only banking on the future, not enjoying the moment, not enjoying the present, that time will never come back. You'll never be as young as you are right now. And the further and further and further you delay gratification across all areas of your life, the further you will get away from experiencing the moment. And I get it. You don't want to have instant gratification with all of your money and all of your time and not get ahead. I get that. But I also think that often people say, well, when I'm 50 or 60 or 70, then I'll do X, then I'll buy this, then I'll whatever. And many people don't even make it to that age, right? And so I've had this reality check in my life because my dad passed away at 54. And he would have never thought that his life would come to an end then. So my mentality has been, how do we really live it up? How do we visit and travel to the places we've always wanted to go now, sooner than later? And a perfect example of this is we went to Bora Bora, which was on the bucket list in 2020, right before we found out we're pregnant with my daughter. And it was right before COVID. So we were talking about we're going to have our 10-year anniversary trip to Bora Bora, live it up, stay at the St. Regis and have an amazing experience. And literally like within a month of getting home, the world shut down. It's like you couldn't even travel if you wanted. And at the time, we weren't sure if that was ever going to come back. So we were like, way to go out with a bang to Bora Bora, possibly the final place we'll ever be able to fly, right? Because there was a period of time where people were wondering if flying is just finished, and it was a scary possibility. Thankfully, that has all been reversed and people can travel freely again. But anyway, so at that time, it was one of those moments of like, thank goodness we went, instead of we'll do it at our 20-year anniversary or 30-year anniversary or whatever. It's like we went when we were together for 10 years and it was an amazing time. And so anyway, long story short, we the lesson here for you guys is, when was the last time you did something where there was this bet where you put money in? You had skin in the game. You were future pacing who you wanted to be, who you wanted to become in 12 to 18 months, or 12 to 24 months. And real estate is a great way of doing it, right? Putting a deposit down on a pre-build that is going to be ready in a year or two, and you're like, okay, well, I have this window of time, but I got to get to work. I got to get a lot of things achieved, right? So that's something to think about. Another one is when you're having a child and you get confirmation that baby's coming and the due date is here. That's another very powerful one, especially for men becoming fathers for the first time. Is like, you're 6 months out, 7 months out. That's the window of time you have left to do certain things, to become somebody, to change your bad habits, to quit things, to look at things from a new point of view. And then when that moment happens, there's no going back. You'll never go back to being someone who does not have a child for the rest of your life. And that's like, damn. So that was another wake-up call for me too, which happened here, where my daughter was on her way, and 6 months of my wife being pregnant, I realized I got to get my health in order. I got to get a strength and conditioning coach. I got to have somebody come and train me, no matter what, how crazy and hectic the day was, or minimal sleep happened, or whatever. We have to get this done. And so that changed my life. I'm almost at 5 years now. I'm under 10% body fat. I feel amazing. My metabolic health is, 10 years younger than my actual age. And it's just been a huge blessing that all happened here also. So I want you to think about where you want to be, at the end of 2026. And what kind of skin in the game decision can you make today where there's a deposit, non-refundable, there's some very specific date on the calendar that makes you stretch, right? For a lot of people in the business world with an AGIC, it's convention. It's like, I want to be at this rank by the end of May next year so that I could be recognized for that achievement at convention. That's a massive, amazing one as well. But there's lots of different things that can move the needle forward for you in a way that creates that urgency, and that purpose comes alive within yourself, that fire, and you stretch to the next point. Now, another thing I want to mention before I wrap this up is I talked about how people have a hard time thinking only in a linear sense, making decisions based on their current income, their current job, everything. But when you have the power to think in terms of compounding and exponential growth, and where you're going to be in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, everything shifts. So in my case, my business in the last 8 years, what has happened from a revenue standpoint, from an income standpoint, has been incredible, like truly, truly remarkable. And we kept our monthly expenses so low, way, way, way below our means for so long, even though we were living a great life, even though we were traveling, even though it looked like, maybe more luxury or more lavish than our income actually is. Like, I don't think most people realize what our income actually is. It's far greater than most people assume. But not only that, we've been investing a huge chunk of that because we've been, living within our means so much. So when this initial sticker price hit me of the new place we're moving to, it was actually not the reality of how much we're earning and how much we have. It was based on this cap that I put on my mindset on purpose to live so far below our means. And then when I ended up calculating what the difference would be if we made this move and made this shift, it was 3 times more than our mortgage, which was like, whoa, that's crazy, right? Why would we do that? But it was still like way under 10% of our monthly income. So you're like, whoa, that is way within reason, because I think they recommend 30 to 40% on average is what people are spending on housing. So we're like still 25%, 20% of the recommended thing. And not only that, but when you level up and you change your environment and you expand possibilities and start asking new questions of like, well, what does this mean? What could we create here? What's the vision? What's the possibilities? What are some other things that inspire me? I know that this is going to be an investment, not just from the obvious stuff like equity and property value increasing and so forth. But it's an investment into how my family feels, how I feel. And when you feel better, you feel elevated, you feel like you're stepping into this new heightened reality, you create more. I do. So I already know that I'm going to have new ideas for helping others and making a difference and making an impact that will also be directly compensated fairly as well. So even though it's a bigger expense on one hand, it's actually an opportunity to quantum leap and multiply our growth. And it's happening literally at the end of this era, at the end of this decade, where we've spent our 30s here. Our family is now complete. My son is going to be turning 1. My daughter is going to be turning 5. My wife and I are both turning 40, even though my wife looks way, way, way younger. She looks amazing, and hopefully me too. But it's just so special to shift into this now. And with young kids, we're going to have this massive yard and this massive property to really experience them growing up and witnessing this. And I think like now, looking back on living in this home, we have so many pictures and so many little clips and videos of them, their first steps and these cute moments when kids are really little. And my daughter's first steps were in this home, and my son's first steps will be in our new home. And so it's really special for this time in our lives. But the memories hit different when you're not just looking at the love and the joy and the fulfillment and the person in the video, but you're looking at the environment. You're looking at the space. You're looking at the kitchen cupboards, or you're looking at the kitchen island, or you're looking at like the great room where you cuddled your child when they weren't feeling well and made them feel safe and secure and everything was going to be okay. You know, living in a quiet neighborhood with no traffic and no noises, just birds chirping and like so serene and so peaceful. All of these things are more important when you're transitioning out of this place. And so long story short, we sold our house officially as of yesterday. We are have closed on our new property today, and we take possession tomorrow. And this episode is going to come out on Wednesday, a few days after we took possession. And so I hope this inspires you. It's so good to be back to share this episode, give you a little bit of a life update. I'm just so incredibly grateful and blessed to be in a position 8 years later where this purchase was relatively stress-free, and it didn't completely empty every single penny of mine like it did 8 years ago when we really, really stretched. This one was actually just a very sort of casual financial investment, but it was a lot of growing that needed to happen, a lot of organized strategy and other pieces that had to come together in the past 4 months. And I've gotten so much accomplished in preparation to just close on this house, which is literally happening today. So I'm proud of me. It's been taking up majority of my free time along with my family. And now I'm going to really level up again. So you guys know me if you've been listening to me or following my journey over the past 12 years with my business or even just my podcast and stuff. I always find opportunities to think, how can we take things next level? How can we get better? How can we improve? How can we add more value back to the community? You know, how could we make your business run more efficiently? What's the next thing? And that is so important to always keep in mind as you grow. You cannot get complacent. You cannot settle. You cannot be like, it's good enough, and we'll just leave it as it is, because you will be left behind. And so I have had a break. It's been really nice. I will continue to not work a lot for sure, especially with the transition and unpacking and, you know, all the things, and enjoying the rest of our summer here. However, just energetically going into a place that is state of the art. Wait till you see it. It's a work of art. Okay. It's beautiful. It's got all the smart home tech automation with like a control 4 system, but the home itself is actually a timeless design. It's not super modern or like trendy or something that's hot now and it'll fade away. It's timeless. And that's what my life, that's what Margaret loves. And I love her style, and I appreciate her attention to detail and the way that she makes our house a home. And it's one of my favorite things about being married to her is that she really is incredible with design, with aesthetics, with energy, and how our home actually feels. And so I can't wait to see what she does with our new place. And obviously I give a little feedback and guide things to a certain extent on especially my office and the home gym and the garage and the backyard and so forth. But for the most part, I'm really excited to see her level into her vision. So I got to run here because, like I said, this is a busy day for us. We're finishing. We have the movers here. They're packing us up. We have a bunch of appointments today, and then tomorrow is possession day. So I'll leave you with that for now. And on my YouTube channel, we post the video of my podcast. And if you have any feedback or you want to wish us well or anything along those lines, please leave a comment on the YouTube channel. And that's the best place to get a hold of me regarding the podcast, or our Instagram account at the Diamond Life Mentor. And I'm excited to get back into weekly value-focused ideas and thoughts for you with the podcast. And we'll catch up with you again real soon. And don't forget, there's an incredible offer right now on the mentorship until the end of August. So if that's something you want to take advantage of, you want me to coach you more directly in a group setting, then don't miss out, because it's a pretty fantastic discount that is happening until the end of the month in August. Much love to you guys. We'll catch up real soon. Take care for now. Bye-bye.